Okay, we're live today. And starting is the hardest part, is coming in as a topic, as a theme. How many people or how many of you put off starting something until the new year? You're collecting all your lists of things you're going to start right now. You're putting together a list that you're going to start these things in January. Why can't you start them now? Why are you putting it out there that you'll start it later? So we all do this. We talk ourselves out of starting something and we put it off. We make excuses. We're not ready yet. It's not the right time. I'm waiting for the new year. I'm waiting for inspiration. I'm waiting for this. I'm waiting for that. And we put it off. We put it off. And what really happens is we never start it. The new year comes and we still don't have the inspiration, the motivation, or the energy to start that thing that we really want to start, the thing that's going to change our lives, the thing that's going to make it better. And maybe it's stopping something. It might not be, it's starting something that will stop a bad habit. And I have lots of personal experience with having bad habits and stopping them, and having the motivation or the idea, the inspiration of I want to do something and actually getting started on it. And sometimes things start because you're forced to, and a crisis happens, or I'm seeing a comment here. Hi, Jessica. Awesome. You're working on this too? Cool. And yeah, we don't start. We say we want to start, but we never start. We say we want to start, but we never start. We say, oh, in January, I'm going to do that. So, or let me think about it. Let me think about it. I get this a lot. Well, I'm not sure. I want to think about it. Let me feel into my intuition to see if it's right for me. That's usually a no. That's usually a no. It's not right for you. And that's good that you're able to do that. You can know right away. But saying, I need to check it out is usually a no. So I have been sick for a few weeks now, and it goes up and down. It might be walking pneumonia. I'm not sure. But right now, I might be a little all over the place just because sinus medicine is kind of like that when you're taking it. But I was at a networking meeting this morning, and I was the feature presentator last week. And you can be doing something on a regular basis. You can be very consistent. Thank you. You can be very consistent because you decide to start something. So here's the other thing around starting something. You can start things and you can get going on them and you can be doing them consistently, but they're just not working out for you. There's just no results are happening. And you can wonder why. Why is this? Why am I here? What is going on, right? But that might be because you just haven't been doing it long enough. You haven't been doing it long enough. So 28 years ago, I started a daily practice. I had a lot of anxiety when I was in my early 20s, and I was worried a lot, and I was going through a big grief. Somebody very close to me died, and I had never experienced death or somebody dying in my family or friends before. And I was worried a lot. I was worried about, why am I here? What am I supposed to be doing with my life? I was in my 20s, but I was very worried and I didn't know what to do. And I just started studying. books about life, about personal growth, about psychology, about what else, ancient stuff, things that interest me. But I was trying to understand what life and death was. What is the purpose of being here? What is the meaning of life? And there was practices in the books, that most of the books, the self-help books I was reading, and I decided I was going to do them. And so I just started. And I was kind of like an experimenter. I had my journal, and I would write the date and I'd write the time that I would do it. It was always in the morning for me because that's how I set it up for myself. And I would write like an experiment, remember back in elementary school when you're in science class, you would have a thesis and then, or a hypothesis, and then you would have the experiment, the procedure. That's kind of like how I did my daily practice. Like I was doing an experiment because I didn't know what was going to come of it. And I wanted to document what I experienced so that I could track my progress, right? And so that's what I started doing. I started experimenting with daily practice and doing practices that were helpful for anxiety, worry, stress, fear. Expanding consciousness and awareness was actually one of the results that I did not expect. And quiet of mind was one of the results that I did not expect to happen and I wasn't looking for or seeking for. And I noticed, because I was experimenting with myself and I was documenting it, and I would go back and read it. Back then, I didn't have TV, so I read a lot more. And I read my own writing and my own procedures back to myself. And I noticed that it didn't happen immediately, but about 3 months in, I started noticing that I wasn't feeling anxious. I just wasn't worried like I was worried before. And I documented that. I documented that I wasn't feeling nervous. And then a little bit later, maybe 6 months, and then even a year after I started the practice, I started having like consciousness expanding moments where my perception just totally changed. I saw things that I had never seen before, like clarity, like I was seeing and hearing what people were saying, or maybe I was walking down the street and I had never seen that tree before. Like I was seeing things that I had never noticed before. And it was very interesting that why didn't I notice it before? Like what was the difference? And that's the point I'm trying to make, or that I'm offering, is like, you don't really know unless you start something and put some consistent action into something, what the results are going to be. And you have to kind of take a risk and just get started. And if you document it, if you kind of make some notes along the way, you can notice your progress. And that's the kind of person I am. I'm kind of a geek that way. I document things. I like to experiment with things. And even though I have a really good memory, it's easier to remember stuff if I write it down. And so 28 years ago, because I started practicing a daily practice, and I'm saying daily, and back then, yeah, it was probably 5 days a week. Maybe I did it 7 days a week sometimes. Maybe I did it 4 to 5 times. Some days you take off. I'm not saying you have to do this every day or be like me, but I just noticed that now, like 28 years later, I have done a daily practice. Let's say out of 28 years, I probably took a total of 5 years off, not in consecutive, but like, you know, times and chunks of times where I didn't do my daily practice. And that is when I would notice the contrast of how my life flowed, how my life unfolded, how my life felt, and how good I felt was the difference between when I did my practice and when I would not do my practice, the drama, the struggles that would happen. But when I did my practice, things were like flowing and easy and magical almost. And so now I teach people how to start a daily practice. I teach people how to do this because I did it the hard way, like an experimenter, like an inventor. You don't have to do that. I've made it easier for you. And how I made it easier for you is I now lead live guided practices twice a week, Tuesday and Friday mornings at 6 a.m. Pacific time for 30 minutes. And I guide you into yourselves. I guide you into using your imagination, into quieting your mind, into connecting with yourself, and in connecting with the earth, one of the biggest allies we have out there, who operates in present time and can really help us ground and connect with ourselves. And so I came to that conclusion that that's how I can help and be of service in a daily practice. Like that idea, that inspiration to how can I be of service to help others cure anxiety, transform worry and stress, have the life that they've always wanted. And the easiest way is by looking inside, by going inside and seeing what's in the way and clearing it out easily. And I have created this easy way. But one thing is that you have to keep doing it. You have to consistently do it. 1 or 2 times is not going to do it. Even 2 weeks is not going to do it. It's something that if you do it on a regular basis, you become very strong at it. It becomes like a muscle that shows up for you, that can lift that heavy load at any time when you call on it. And it's something like it's a skill. It's a skill. And when you have a skill like clarity and presence, groundedness, it elevates you. It elevates everything else that you do. What I've noticed about this practice that I teach, because I've taken a whole bunch of other practices and kind of worked it into one practice that I can offer to people in a guided groups atmosphere over Zoom. So I have been doing that practice since January 2023, twice a week. And I might have missed 2 weeks where a recording happened, but pretty much I've probably done over 200 of them. What I've noticed about it is it just catapults you forward in your life into the things that you want, into the things that you're going for, the things that you're working on in your life, your business, your relationships. And my speaking ability, my ability to stay present and become a really confident speaker who isn't getting nervous, who isn't closing up, that has really transformed that ability. That practice has helped my speaking practice, my speaking career that is just starting. Recently I've gotten a few speaking gigs. This week there was 2 of them, and more just are coming. And I am not really grabbing for any speaking gigs. They're kind of coming to me naturally as well. So I'm crediting this practice that I teach to that. And it really helps with visibility and being seen and heard when you're talking with your family or your employees or your boss or your contractors. Because when you can really anchor in and know yourself and be comfortable in your own skin and your own body, it's easier to be comfortable when you're talking to other people and you can know what you want. So I'm going to put a link in the comments. I offer a free 2-week trial for my live guided practice. And I encourage you to try it out. You can cancel if you're not interested, if it doesn't work for you. But I would love to have you on there and hold space for you to really anchor in that power, that wisdom, that desire that you want for your life, and let the anxiety and the worry and the stress naturally get cleared out. It just naturally gets cleared out when you pay attention to yourself more in quiet, when you put yourself first at the beginning of the day. And even if you can't come live, the recordings are in the library, and there are over 100 recordings in the library that you could do if you wanted to do it on the days that we don't go live. And so I will put that in the comments, and I look forward to seeing some of you there. So I have a great week, and thank you to this Receptive Radio community for making this such a great space. I have some interviews coming up with 4 people. I have Linda Binns, energy expert. She's coming up, and I'm getting the schedule together. I have Caroline Millay, a relationship dating coach. Del Lewis, many of you know Del Lewis. He's coming up in an upcoming interview talking about his book and charting a course to true wealth. And then I also have Prableen Ajula. She is a visualization expert. And then I'm also interviewing Hannah Blackburn. She's from London, and she's a Pilates and somatic coach. And so if you're interested in getting interviewed on Receptive Radio, reach out to me, send me a DM. I can send you the application form, and I'd love to host you. We can do a trade, or I can come on your podcast too. So one more time, try out the live guided 2-week free trial to curing anxiety, worry, struggle, so that you can get what you want. And I'll see you next week.